Hi, this is Josh from Kohler Equipment. Today we're taking a look at a Wacker Neuson SW28. 2,800 pounds operating capacity, that's 50% of tipping capacity. And that is without any rear weights. We can stack on rear weights to this machine. Got the 1216.5 tires. These Camsos have been pretty good tires. They are the 732s. They do have a 532 option, which is a little less aggressive. The 732s have performed quite well. Vertical lift boom system. We have about 11-foot pin height. Power quick attach. It's a hydraulic quick attach. Hoses run to the rear, run off of the auxiliary hydraulics. Oil fill right on the side. Check sight gauge right below it. Into the rear here. With good sight lines and visibility. Work lights are recessed. Not going to smash them up. Easy access. Side door panel. Latch to keep this thing open. On the back door we have our condenser for the air conditioning. So you can see real good access. I'm not going to pop it up, but this radiator compartment lifts up. The hydraulic fan is attached to the radiator and folds up out of the way along with it. This is a variable speed fan, so when the machine is cold, that fan will hardly be turning. That will allow the machine to warm up much quicker. Also, isn't using power that you don't need to be spending on spinning a fan. This one has the cold weather package, which is going to give us 2 batteries, engine heater, and synthetic hydraulic oil. So you can see real good access alongside the engine, even with 2 batteries in there. They do have a battery disconnect switch. A lot of room around this side here. Our main hydraulic valve is mounted right inside the door. So this is where all of our boom and cylinder hoses originate. Auxiliary hoses, everything right here. We don't have those hoses running underneath the cab like traditional machines would to a forward-mounted distributor valve. That keeps our hoses shorter, easier to get at. All our maintenance points right out in the open. Circling around this machine, not much more than you didn't see on the other side. This would be where we would fuel. Take the fuel cap. Our standard flat face couplers with free return. All of them do have a release. Press in on them for 5 seconds to relieve the pressure before hooking or unhooking attachments. Simply press in like that, and it'll bleed off the pressure to the tank. The outside of the machine, you can take a look inside here. The door opens a full 90 degrees for easy entry. See our headlights there, I didn't talk about that. This has the dual beam headlights. They are working on an LED option. I don't currently have a good LED solution for this machine, but we are working on it. Stay tuned. Steps in. You see nice flat platform. Cup holders. Upper cab. Take a look at the features inside. Alright, here we are inside the cab, the SW28. This is the Deluxe Display. It is backup camera ready, color display. It's going to be the same display that you will find in all of the Wacker Neuson skid loaders. They do have a standard display option. The machines that I order in with the joystick controls, I go with this Deluxe Display. I'll show you why in just a minute here. It does give you a lot more options as far as ease of changing profiles. This is what they call the work group profile. You can adjust your lift arm speed, the auxiliary speeds, bucket speeds, response rates, all quite easily from this display. You can do it with the standard display. It's just a little bit more manipulating to get through all of those different screens. Yes. This is the drive profiles, similar to the other. You can how fast you propel, the steering, the acceleration rates. You can also view your machine vitals, which is going to give you hydraulic temperature, filter status, oil pressures. You can see the engine is running here. We're 1100 RPMs. You can increase the RPMs. It reads it out right there. Engine coolant temperature, fuel temperature. Gives a lot of details here. Barometric pressure, system voltage, and then this final page shows different software versions that are loaded into the computer. You can also view any failure codes. Right now we're getting the flashing green check mark, no failure codes, which is awesome. And maintenance. This is showing number of hours till next maintenance, 493 hours. And then it also gives the information you would find in your owner's manual as far as what types of oil to run. I think it maybe says capacities. Yep, there we go. There's fill capacities, so that you have all that information here right at your fingertips, not digging through an owner's manual to find. This one hasn't been through our shop. Otherwise, we'd have our contact information there too if you needed more assistance beyond what you're seeing on those screens. Again, we've got machine settings. Those are a lot of the first two are the same as what we already looked at. They do have an auto idle option. This one here, when you turn that on, if the machine is inactive for a certain number of seconds, and you can change that number of seconds up or down. I think the default is 3 seconds. As soon as you are not moving any of the controls or running the auxiliary on the machine for more than 3 seconds, the machine will return to an idle. As soon as you go to use it, it will automatically go back to whatever position you had the throttle set in previously. Settings. And reverse speed limit. By default, reverse is 100%, so same speed as going forward. If you're in a situation or have an inexperienced operator that you may not want to drive in reverse as fast as going forward, these are pretty quick machines. That can be limited to a certain percentage of the forward motion speed. Those are certain machine settings. Display, you can change brightness, time, units, metric or standard, or language. And then we have owner settings. I'm not going to go into this because by entering the owner settings, it will require that I create a password, which would be the owner's password. And then you can create multiple users under it. So if you have someone who prefers H-pattern versus ISO, when you get into the machine, it will request a passcode in order for the machine to start. It's like 4-digit passcode. You would just punch in using the buttons below the screen. So quite quick to enter that passcode, and then it will remember the operator settings related to that passcode. So if operator 1 likes a quicker response time, H-pattern, joysticks, 50% reverse speed limit, those types of things. By putting in his passcode, those settings will automatically be applied. Operator 2 jumps in, and he has a whole different set of preferences. Then he's not going into the screen and having to readjust all of the preferences every time you switch between operators. So if you have multiple operators with multiple preferences, that's kind of a nice feature. It also adds a layer of security because keys are fairly universal. So you can add that passcode, and that will keep your machine more secure, because that machine will only run a few seconds without that passcode being entered, and then it will shut off. A few other things we can look at here. We've got parking brake switch. That is kind of our go switch. Once we start the machine and put our seat belt on, that switch needs to be pressed in order for any of the functions to work. And it can be reactivated to lock just the drive portion of the machine. The boom will still function. You can see it here. Beneath that, we have our ISO or H pattern selector. We hold that down for several seconds, and it will switch. There you can see H pattern up on the display. It also says H. It turns to our PMs there. I prefer ISO personally. There we are, back to ISO. Our engine throttle. We're going to increase the throttle. I believe we have auto idle here, so in 3 seconds it should drop back down. There we go. And then if I move the lever, it increases it, and then drops back down. So that's an example of how that auto idle works. We have our right hand joystick here, which in ISO is going to operate our boom functions. Up, back to raise, forward to lower, side to side to tilt our bucket. We have our auxiliary function right here. That's going to run a grapple feature or whatever other attachment you might have. We've got a couple extra functions on the top. The front is your float position. So you press that and go forward. That is going to put your loader into float. There is also a symbol right up here that shows that that float is activated. As soon as I pull back, that should go out. There you see that. The bottom one here, I don't believe this machine is equipped with ride control. If it was, this bottom button would be activated. It is not turning on, so this does not have the ride control. If a machine is equipped with ride control, there will also be an automatic ride control option under our machine settings on our screen, and that will automatically turn the ride control on at above a certain speed. So typically you're not going to use ride control at low speeds because you want to have more control of your bucket, so it isn't gouging or anything like that. And you'd want it for traveling at higher speeds over rougher ground to keep from spilling material in your bucket and to give yourself a nicer ride here as an operator. So that can be achieved automatically through the Deluxe Display. Once that's activated, then that will just kind of take care of itself automatically. On the left hand side here, we would have our drive functions. I'm in park here right now, so it's not going to go anywhere. Horn on the front. There's a little trigger around the front side. This one has one as well. I'm going to take just a few minutes and explain these buttons here. You can see there's a sticker showing what they do, but we'll go into a little bit more depth. This one doesn't have the front electric control, so we're going to ignore the two buttons on the right hand side. The one on the left, let me take this out of park. Top left is going to toggle our 2-speed. Right now you can see the turtle, a little rabbit, back to turtle. If we hold down the bottom button while the park is unlocked, so in operating mode, hold it down, I believe it's 3 seconds. Okay, just 1 second. All right, that puts us into snail mode. We'll see up here, we got snail is 99%. If I press the snail mode button again, it will reduce that number by 3% every click. This can be done while driving. So whenever it is in snail mode, you can press that bottom button or the top button, which toggles your 2-speed. We're still in snail mode, but what it's going to do now is it's going to increase the speed. So if you are doing something slow, say running a tiller or a planer or something where you're needing to operate at very slow speeds, this top button and bottom button are going to be your friends here for being able to adjust your speed on the go. That way you can hold your stick all the way forward and you can control your speed using those buttons instead of having to try and hold the joystick in kind of a middle position. Now if we hold our bottom button again, that takes us out. There we go. Now we're back to turtle mode. Now on the top right, you're seeing a speed limiter. That is going to be limiting the overall machine speed. What we're going to do is activate the parking brake. Got a low fuel warning here. I'm going to hold down that bottom snail button again. And then we're going to see that 100% start to flash. There we go. And then in the exact same manner, as we change the turtle percentages, apologize for the alarm, we can change our total machine speed. That is going to affect your 2-speed and your standard speed. Once you get the desired percentage, release the parking brake, and that will lock. I'm leaving it at 100%. But that is a common question I get as far as these two buttons here and how they work and how to be able to control all your various speeds. We have here our bucket unlock. This is used in conjunction with our auxiliary. Hold my camera here. I don't know if I can do both functions at the same time, but you would hold this button down and operate. Levers unlocked. To relatch, you do not need to hold down that button. All you need to do is run the auxiliary. The bucket is relatched. The auxiliary functions work in a momentary position using this switch here, as you can see, without the auxiliary button being activated. This is a 2-way switch here.